Yep.
And you're live.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for the Midlake School District on the District Emergency Preparedness Plan. Sarah, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Sickles?
Okay. You can go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, first of all, I'd like to point out to anybody watching that you can watch or participate in this meeting in two different ways. If you'd like to participate by asking a question or making a comment related to the District Emergency Preparedness Plan, you can join the link, the Zoom link that's on our school website and on our Facebook page. If you would just like to watch the meeting, then you can watch the link on the Facebook page as you normally would. But if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, you must join the Zoom link and then type your question along with your name and address. Type your question or comment in the Q&A box, and as long as you identify yourself, then we will read it. So tonight we're holding legally required public hearing for our district emergency preparedness plan. So just as a quick overview, and this is sort of an excerpt from the plan itself, districts are required to develop a district-wide school safety plan designed to prevent and minimize the effects of serious violent incidents and emergencies, and to facilitate the coordination of the district with local and county resources in the event of such incidents or emergencies. The district-wide safety plan is responsive to the needs of all schools within the district and is consistent with the more detailed emergency response plans required at the school building level. The plan must be reviewed annually and approved by the Board of Education. So I just want to quickly point out there's an important piece here. It draws a distinction between the more general district-wide safety plan that we're talking about tonight, legally referred to as the District Emergency Preparedness Plan, versus the building-specific emergency response plans. Those are much more detailed. They're specific to the individual buildings, and they can contain the very detailed and specific steps that would be taken on the local level. Those are confidential plans. They're not shared publicly by law. They're shared with state ed and with state police and local law enforcement, but because they contain our specific responses to emergencies, they are not public. So the plan that we're talking about tonight is the broad district level plan that speaks to how we would respond to them, how we do or would respond to emergencies. So just quickly, some updated New York State Education Department regulations that impact the process for how this plan is approved annually. So beginning last year, state ed required that school resource officer contracts be included as addendums to the district emergency preparedness plan. So this past August 20th, we had a public hearing on the school resource officer contract, and the SRO contract was subsequently approved on August 24th. We then entered, once the SRO contract was approved, the very next morning it was attached to the proposed district emergency preparedness plan and posted on the school website for a 30-day public comment period. We're in the midst of that 30-day public comment period right now. It's under the Board of Education page, bottom tab under district safety plan, and people can make public comments through the 23rd. The public hearing is tonight currently, and board action on the district emergency preparedness plan is anticipated at our next regularly scheduled board meeting on October 5th. The district safety plan is reviewed annually with the assistance of a district safety team, and this is the membership of that team. I'm not going to read everyone's name that's on there, but there is Board of Education representation, administrators, representatives from each building, clerical staff, nurse, food service, safety, facilities, personnel, transportation, social worker, parents, and the school resource officer, all part of that district level team. There are building level emergency response teams that play a different role, but I'll get into in just a little bit what the district safety team does. But this is the group that oversees the overall plan. Just some highlights quickly regarding the plan. So it outlines the responsibilities for the chief emergency officer, which happens to be me. So basically, I'm ultimately responsible for making sure that the plan is developed, updated, reviewed, properly communicated, that it's that any necessary trainings and drills occur, and just I'm generally responsible for either personally or through delegation, making sure that the district safety plan is carried out, right down through the building emergency response plans. The district-wide school safety team reviews the plan annually, gives feedback, can suggest changes, can make recommendations for the improvement of our procedures. And they have done that this year as they have done. The plan also identifies potential emergency sites, not just within the physical confines of the campus, but throughout the school district. Anywhere from the hospital to different manufacturing sites, anywhere where one could reasonably expect any type of emergency situation to develop. That gets outlined in the plan as part of our proactive thinking ahead in terms of how we might respond to an emergency, nearby that could impact our operations or our dismissal or the ability of students to arrive on campus, because we recognize that the school district exists within the context of a larger community. So all of that is identified in the plan. It lays out our general standard response steps for specific emergencies. And the key words here are general and standard. Sort of the industry standard, so to speak, for how to respond. This is based upon state police guidance, legal guidance. When you read this plan, you're going to see sort of a 10,000-foot view of how our district would respond to different types of emergencies. It does not, again, drill down into the specific steps, because publication of those steps could compromise overall health and safety of the campus for the students and staff who are here on a daily basis. So again, it's posted on the school website, will continue to be posted on the school website, but it just provides a general overview of those action steps. It identifies district resources that could be deployed in the case of emergency. And that includes key personnel, who would play specific roles. It includes equipment from buses to other facilities equipment that could be deployed if necessary to either evacuate students or respond in any other way to an emergency. And also the availability of food and fuel. If there was a situation where students and staff had to be kept on campus for a prolonged period of time, we have to be able to account for the heating of our buildings and also the ability to feed all those people for potentially an extended period of time. So all that's included in our plan as well. Communication systems and protocols, communicating internally, but also externally with parents, most specifically, but the community at large and local first responders in terms of coordinating a response to an emergency. It outlines our general approach to trainings and drills. We have numerous required drills throughout the year, responding to all different types of emergencies, and our plan includes our general approach to providing those training and drill opportunities. And then finally, it also lays out our general approach to school security, from the training of all school staff to deploying our school resource officers. So that's really a broad overview. It's about as much detail as I'll go into, other than if there are questions. But those are the general categories of the plan. I do want to speak just specifically about the incident command system, which is embedded in the plan, is really the basis and the foundation of how all school districts in New York State are required to organize themselves for the response to an emergency. So the incident command system actually originated after 9/11, when there was quite a bit of confusion between different agencies as to who was in charge of a particular location or site. So this is a system that has been honed and perfected over the years and has been adopted for school districts to help coordinate the response to any type of emergency. So it is a standardized hierarchical structure to organize and coordinate activities in response to an emergency or incident without compromising the decision-making authority. So it basically recognizes that no one person by themselves can coordinate all the pieces to respond to an emergency. So it does identify very specific roles, and then has backup people assigned to those roles in case they're not present at the time. And it includes just, again, delegation of key responsibilities, but it all stems back up a flow chart to a single decision-making person at the top of the hierarchy. And that person could really change depending upon the circumstances. Under the best of circumstances, as the system is designed, the incident commander for the district would be the superintendent. But if the superintendent is not present when a district level emergency happens, then that gets delegated to somebody else. And then there are similar structures at the building level, with the principal, backups to the principal, and then different roles assigned out from there. So it ensures that the most pressing needs are met in a timely manner, from planning, logistics, communication, safety and security throughout an emergency. It prevents the duplication or waste of resources by ensuring that two people aren't running off doing the same thing, not knowing that the other's doing the same thing at the same time, and having two people tackling a problem in different ways. It identifies and assigns roles to avoid confusion and to make sure that people can be trained in those roles. And again, this is at both the district and the building level. It defers decision-making to the highest ranking authority based on circumstances. And I want to tie this one to the last bullet, which says the district incident command system is most likely to take effect after an emergency has been addressed or stabilized by first responders. So it goes back to the highest ranking authority. Depending upon the nature of an emergency, the school district may not be the highest ranking authority. If it happened to be, God forbid, a violent incident, local law enforcement, state police, they are going to be the highest ranking authority. And then everybody else in the district is going to be following our normal, safety protocols in response to that incident, not managing this. So, or if it were a fire or a medical emergency or a gas leak, there are other agencies that might have first responsibility and primary authority until the emergency is stabilized, and then the district or building level incident command structure goes into place, either to evacuate students and staff or to coordinate the reunification or any other steps that may need to be taken. But again, the district authority very often will take the back seat to local first responders at the outset. I do want to point out, as I started, that the SRO contract, starting last year, now is an addendum to the District Emergency Preparedness Plan. So the SRO contract had to be approved before we could open up the 30-day comment period for the District Emergency Preparedness Plan. The SRO public hearing was held on August 20th, 2020. The contract was approved on August 24th. It was then posted as an addendum to the safety plan the next morning on August 25th. Together, they're posted for public comment for 30 days through the 23rd of September. I do want to point out that at tonight's regular board meeting, which will immediately follow this meeting, There is an amendment to the SRO contract that's anticipated to be approved by the board tonight. It is a non-material change. It was actually the result of the district safety team reviewing the district safety plan and the SRO contract, and just catching a salary calculation error that was made by Ontario County. The correction of that calculation error actually benefits the district financially, but has no impact or reduction on the SRO service. It is a non-material change. It is to the district benefit, so that amendment will be made tonight. And that is an overview of the district emergency preparedness plan. And I'm not seeing any questions or comments in the Q&A box, but I'll stall for a second to see if anybody does write anything in there. I certainly answer any board questions since we have several board members here. I do want to point out that at the conclusion of this meeting, we will end this meeting, but anybody wishing to watch or participate in the board meeting at 6:30 can rejoin using the same link. And just like we had the opportunity for questions or comments through the Q&A box on Zoom in this meeting, anyone wishing to make a public comment in the board meeting can do so in the same fashion. So you would need to join the Zoom link, not just watch along through Facebook. We will not be using the Facebook comment section as our public comment. Will be used in the Q&A box in the Zoom link. So we encourage anyone who would like to make a public comment, again, to join the Zoom link and use the Q&A box. Board members, any questions? Okay.
Okay.
I think I've made it clear how to join the board meeting if you'd like to make public comment, but that's all I have for the public hearing.
Okay, hearing no more questions, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.